Shavua Tov, Happy New Week, Israel Brief family from all around the world. If you are joining us for the first time, welcome to it. I am Rolene Marks. This is the Israel Brief, brought to you in partnership with these guys, Lay of the Land, where you join our community that go as far as the Gold Coast in Australia, all the way up to Northern Ireland, the Highlands of Scotland, and deep into Scandinavia. Isn't it amazing? You're in great company, and I'm in the best company of all, yours. The Israel Brief comes to you every Monday to Thursday. We take a look at those top stories making the headlines here in Israel. The headlines, of course, you are not going to see in your media like CNN, Sky News, the BBC, who are all pushing a specific agenda about Israel. Well, this is news from an Israeli journalist on the ground here in Israel. And for those of you, the detractors who say, oh, listen to your accent, come closer, come. Lean in a little bit closer. I have lived and worked in Israel as a journalist for 15 years. So commenting on my accent is not the flex that you think it is. Okay? Capiche? Okay. Sit down now. Anyway, back to our Israel Brief community because you deserve my full attention. So just a reminder before we take a look at those headlines that the Israel Brief is interactive. If you have any questions that you would like answered, please be in touch via our website or via our various social media. We also, on a Thursday, bring you your choice of menschers, those are amazing people, and morons of the week. So get those nominations coming through. I already have a nomination for Mensch of the Week, and get those through via our social media and our website. And of course, if you enjoy this content, please consider sharing and subscribing. So let's take a look at the headlines. It is day 682 since the 7th of October. We are closing in ominously to 700 days, which means that for 700 days, 50 hostages are still languishing and rotting in the hell of Gaza. For many that might not know, on the 7th of October, in addition to murdering and committing acts of sexual violence against over 1,200 Israelis and foreign nationals, Hamas and other terrorist organizations kidnapped over 250 hostages, and to date, 50 hostages remain captive. We believe that about 20 of them are still alive. So let's start with the top story. And yesterday, Israel came to a standstill as many Israelis participated in a day of protest. Demonstrations, vigils were held across the country. At about 6:29, which coincides with the time that the attacks on the 7th of October started, a large Israeli flag with the images of the 50 remaining hostages was unfurled at Hostages Square. Now, I just want to preface something because I've seen a lot of comment and a lot of opinion around yesterday's day of protest. And to be clear, not everybody agreed with it. Israel's main labor union said while they support the families and the hostages 100%, they weren't going to participate in a strike. There were some hostage families that also said this wasn't the way that they saw making their point get across. But two things are very important and enshrined in our Israeli democracy. One is the freedom to have an opinion, and the second is the right to protest. And yesterday I saw a lot of different comments, some actually quite nasty against the protesters. And it doesn't matter whether or not you agree with them or whether or not you participated in the protest. What you don't have a right to do is to verbally abuse people, especially these families and the former hostages who did participate. They are going through hell. let's not, however we choose to support the cause to bring our hostages home, let's not lose sight of our humanity. This goes for expressing humanity towards civilians in the Gaza Strip who are also suffering, and humanity that is shown to bereaved families and the families of hostages. I saw people laughing at a stage during the day yesterday when the Houthis fired another ballistic missile towards Israeli civilians, which set off alarms, which meant that those that were protesting outside in the streets had to run for cover or had to duck to avoid being hit by potential shrapnel. And I even saw somebody call for a pox upon the protesters. This is not how we behave. Show humanity. Let that guide your opinions and your choice to participate. So now I will get off my soapbox. So yesterday we did have tens of thousands of people at various points across the country. At some stages, some of the main arteries and highways were blocked. This didn't last the entire day. At one stage, the actress Gal Gadot, we love her. She's not just a Wonder Woman, she's a queen. She met with the families of hostages to express her love, her solidarity. During the course of the day, hostage families went to the hospitals. They visited wounded soldiers in a show of love to say to them, you know, this has nothing to do with you. Please don't feel that you have failed in your mission to return the hostages. And yes, there were some clashes. At least 30 were arrested for clashing with police who tried to maintain law and order. And there were various messages during the day, some politicians pro the protest, some against it. Very movingly, President Herzog and the First Lady, Mrs. Herzog, met with the family of Nepalese hostage Bipin Joshi. Bipin, we believe to still be alive, although we haven't had any official sign of life. His family are here in the country for the first time in 22 months. It is our job to hug them, to give them all the support that they need. The Prime Minister said that in his belief, these protests only pushed out any agreements to free the hostages. And by the end of the day, about 350,000 gathered in and around Hostage Square in a visual, in a sign of solidarity. Now, what it all showed me yesterday, whether or not you agree or disagree, is that this is democracy in action. I know that there are some people who say, yes, our enemies look and they see divisions. I don't see divisions. I see the entire country united behind the message to bring our hostages home. Maybe there are different opinions how to do it, but this is democracy, something that is anathema to our enemies who don't practice democracy. Moving on, we now go down under, and Israel's Foreign Minister Gideon Sa'ar announced a short while ago that he will be revoking the residency visas for the Australian representatives to the Palestinian Authority. Now, this follows Australia's announcement last week to recognize a Palestinian state at next month's UN General Assembly, and also the Australian Home Interiors Minister Tony Burke's revoking of entry visas to the former Justice Minister Ayelet Shaked, and as he did this morning, to the Knesset Chairman of the Law and Justice Committee, Simcha Rothman. Simcha Rothman is one of the architects of the judicial overhauls, and as expressed by Benny Gantz, who is one of our members of Knesset, who has a completely different political stance to Rothman. As he said so brilliantly, he said, I am completely of ideological and political opposition to Simcha Rothman. However, this decision by Australia is both deeply misguided and extremely hypocritical. He says if only Australia tackled anti-Semitism inside that country with the same fervour they use to ban Israeli lawmakers. Now, Tony Burke, the Minister of Interior for Australia, has said that they don't want people who cause division in Australia. Mr. Burke, have you taken a look at the streets of your country on the weekend and how you've got people who are burning not Israeli flags but Australian flags on your streets? I think that is causing more division, and that is a massive insult to the fine people of Australia who I love so dearly. Israel has announced that we will be sending humanitarian aid to South Sudan. South Sudan is experiencing a terrible cholera outbreak at the moment and don't have enough resources. So through Mashav, which is the humanitarian arm of Israel's Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Israel will send food, medical equipment, water sanitation devices and machines, special hygiene kits to prevent cholera, and help on the ground for people in South Sudan who are affected by cholera. And finally, and this is, it's a sad but also meaningful way to end off today's edition of the Israel Brief before I take today's audience question. And tonight at sunset marks the first Yotzeit. Yotzeit is the Yiddish word for the Hebrew anniversary of someone's death of the beautiful six. Now last year on the 31st of August, which coincides with today's Hebrew date, the bodies of who we now call the beautiful six, Hirsch, Goldberg, Polin, Carmel Gat, Eden Yerushalmi, Ori Danino, Almog Seusi, and Alexander Lubanov, who were hostages who were murdered by their Hamas captives at close range. Their bodies were recovered by the IDF and brought back to Israel. Now, so many of you around the world rallied, spread the word, especially to bring home Hirsch, Carmel, and the rest of the beautiful six. And it was probably one of the darkest and most traumatic days in 22 months that have already been extremely traumatic for the Israeli people. I don't think anyone can forget the incredible eulogy given by Rachel Goldberg, Pauline Hirsch's mother. When I was in Australia 2 weeks ago, I participated in I don't even have the words, incredible yoga session run by WITS Australia's Lev Echad group in commemoration of Carmel Gat, to bring in her incredible philosophies and her healing energy on the day that it was her birthday. Well, Hirsch's family have appealed to everybody for the next 24 hours, please to do something good in their memories. They said it can be loud or quiet, it can be out there or nobody can know about it. It can be whatever you choose it to be, but bring some goodness to the world in the memory of the beautiful six. And may their memories be a revolution for goodness. May the memories of Hirsch, Carmel, Eten, Ori, Almog, and Alexander be eternally, eternally blessed. And now for our audience question that comes from Malcolm in London. He says, has the UN sped up collections? That is a brilliant question, because before the IDF started allowing or taking journalists like myself, and you can check out my video report inside Gaza at the aid collection site, the UN had not collected as many aid packages. Their trucks were standing idle, and when I was in Gaza now nearly 2 weeks ago, there were hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of humanitarian aid packages left rotting in the sun. and there were trucks and trucks and trucks and trucks and trucks waiting for the okay from the United Nations and other aid agencies to load up and distribute. Well, there are still not enough collections going on from the United Nations and the various aid agencies, but since we've started exposing their unwillingness to cooperate with the IDF and the GHF, the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, who are feeding Gazans, and their lackadaisical approach, they've increased, but we're still not at the levels that they need to be. So remember that the next time people accuse Israel of deliberately starving Gazans, ask the United Nations, what are you doing? Because I saw a tower of aid marked UNICEF, marked World Food Programme, marked United Nations, and many, many, many others waiting to be loaded and taken in. So guys, that's it from me for today. Please don't forget to check out our website at www.layoftheland.online. Our YouTube channel is right here at the Israel Brief. Please like, share, and subscribe. And we're on Facebook at Lottel Site, on Instagram at Rolene_Marks, on LinkedIn at Rolene Marks, and on X at Lay of the Land 5. Guys, God bless you all. Remember to do something really, really good in the memory of our beautiful six, and I will see you again tomorrow. Mwah. Bye for now.